Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is what's the difference between mindfulness and meditation? Because we hear about both of these things, but they're not the same. And there is definitely a distinction between the two, and why does the distinction matter? So we'll walk through some of that today, and I just want to make sure as well that I kind of link it back to what we've been talking about. And so what we came from was respond rather than react. And responding rather than reacting comes partially from knowing emotions in the body. And emotions in the body are known through practicing paying attention to what the body feels like. So we might notice anger comes with tightness in the chest. We might notice that sadness comes with a feeling of dropping in the belly. And of course, we all experience emotions in different ways. So I'm just kind of giving some random examples, which may or may not be how you experience these emotions. And the way you're going to find out how you experience emotions is through practice. So mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So observing what's going on right now, being aware of what feelings that we have. And, feeling, I guess when I first say feelings, one thing that might pop into your mind is emotions. And so emotions, although experienced cognitively, are also experienced as physical sensations in the body. So when I say feelings, I don't intend to mean emotions, but feelings, physical sensations. So what physical sensations can we experience? So paying attention on purpose, intentionally paying attention. So our attention gets grabbed a lot by a lot of different things in our worlds, in our daily lives. And you'll find that these days it's especially easy to get distracted, that our attention is hijacked. In fact, our attention is maybe one of the most important pieces of capital that companies are trying to get. You'll find that pretty much all of your online activity is a war for your attention. And so mindfulness is paying attention on purpose. So having an intention to pay attention and to do our best to focus our attention. And of course, we won't always be successful in our attempts to hold our attention in one place. And the mind wanders away from what we're working on. As we practice mindfulness more and more, we might start to see those moments that the attention gets pulled away. And this is one of the huge benefits of mindfulness, especially in today's war for the attention. So paying attention on purpose in the present moment, because the mind is wandering often into the future, wandering back into the past, and doing so without us being aware of it. So is it possible to intentionally bring attention to what's going on right now, instead of being lost in thoughts about the future or thoughts about the past? And you'll find, of course, that thoughts are happening right now. So part of being mindful and paying attention on purpose in the present moment is to become aware of thoughts as they happen. And you'll find that sometimes you're a prisoner of your thoughts, that your thoughts are happening unwillingly. And when you begin to explore thoughts and thinking, you can kind of ask yourself, where do these thoughts come from? Right? Is it me who wills these thoughts to generate, or are they, where are they coming from? And I think this is a pretty interesting little exploration as we do our practice. paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So one good reason to not judge our thoughts as they come and go is that exact thing that I just mentioned, that we're not willing those thoughts into our minds. So it can be easy to label a thought as, this is a good thought, this is a bad thought, I should think more like this, I should think less of these thoughts. And you'll find that as much as you should and say should all the time, it doesn't actually change what is showing up. That thoughts are just showing up the way that they do. And without your willing control or your willingness for thoughts to come and thoughts to go, and maybe that one especially, willingness of thoughts to go. If you can understand that thoughts are just like weather patterns in the brain, that the wind blows, the clouds come, and here in Singapore is a really great one for weather, because weather is it really, I swim a couple days a week, 3 days a week, and when I get in the water, sometimes the sky is blue and beautiful with a few puffy white clouds, and I swim a few hundred meters and I look back up and the sky is black and angry, and that's just something that I've had to accept about weather in this place, and you are like a locality. Maybe your weather is one that's super chill and predictable, and you even get a weather forecast for your mind. You can kind of predict when things are coming. And then there are those of us whose weather patterns are completely unpredictable, and we have no idea when it's going to be a sunny day and when it's going to be pouring rain. And is it possible for you not to judge the place that you're in, the weather patterns that you're having? Because the more you examine it, the more you realize that you don't have control over it. And so that's mindfulness, paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, which you can do at any time throughout your day. You can drop into present moment awareness quite simply by observing the body. If you're walking around, you can use the sensation of your feet inside of the soles of your shoes and feel how the pressure is changing as you walk each step. You can tune into the feeling of breathing. You can feel in any moment, or you notice, hey, wait a minute, my mind is all over the place. I'm in the future, I'm in the past, I'm anywhere but here. Is it possible for me to bring my mind back to this moment by using the physical sensations of my body, which are here all of the time? We can always anchor in to the present moment just by noticing physical sensations in the body, or sounds, which also are only here right now, or smells, or anything that is coming in through the doors of the five senses. But sometimes we find that doing this isn't automatic, and that it's really easy to get lost in our train of thought and thinking all of these thoughts about me and how all of this affects me. So how can I remind myself to come back into the present when I'm in my daily life, when I'm facing a hard situation? One way is through meditation. So meditation is setting aside a dedicated time to practice being mindful. And you will discover, as you meditate more and more, this ability is a trainable ability, this ability of mindfulness, to be aware in the present moment when you're walking around in your daily life. And so as you spend more time in dedicated practice, having time dedicated to sit, to lie down, to intentionally pay attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, you will find that this skill naturally starts to come out into our daily lives. Just like when we're going to the gym more often and we're feeling more fit, what a surprise. I noticed today that walking, 5 kilometers or 3 miles, I don't get as tired as I used to. And that's because I've been training. I've been working on my body, and I can do the same with my mind. So can you set aside this time? And I've learned that daily practice is what is most beneficial to me, that when I'm practicing every day, I really see the change in my reactivity, that I can be a lot more aware of what it is that I'm going to do in the next moments, or what it is that it looks like I'm going to do. And so when that awareness comes, then I start to have this small ability to make a change. The words for meditate in Tibetan, for example, the word is gom, which means to habituate, to familiarize. So it's nothing magical. It's not connecting with the ether or the universe or drifting off somewhere or having a special feeling. Meditation is ordinary, and it's just becoming familiar with ourselves in the present moment and seeing as thoughts come and go, like weather patterns in the mind. How do my emotions change? So this familiarization with myself. The Pali word, which is the language of the Buddha, is bhavana. And bhavana means to cultivate. So meditation is about sowing seeds and waiting, sometimes waiting for a very, very long time to start to see the practice taking root and starting to eventually bear fruit. And you can start to see fruit in a relatively short amount of time. And for me, I saw my first fruits of meditation in about 2 weeks. So and then it's just like a few little berries. It's not like I'm harvesting watermelons yet. So be patient as you work on your practice. And as S.N. Goenka says, you are bound to be successful. You are bound to be successful. Okay, I will look at the chat at the end of our meditation. Thank you, everybody, for your activity in the chat. So I'll just encourage you to find a posture that's comfortable, one that brings relaxation and alertness together. And so for me, that's sitting up straight and tall. And start to notice that you have a body. That you're not just some disembodied soul floating around, imprisoned in this body. In fact, the more that you meditate and the more you explore and cultivate this awareness, the more you'll notice how much of you is your body. That I'm not just a passenger inside of this vehicle. That I and my perception of me is not separable from this body. So what does this body feel like? What do your toes feel like? What do your feet feel like? What are you observing as you bring attention to your ankles? And me, I'm sitting cross-legged today, so I have feeling in each of these areas of my body because my legs are touching my cushion. My legs are touching each other. What do your calves feel like and lower legs? Everything between the ankle and the knee on both legs. What do you feel? And now, how about the knees? How about the thighs? What do you feel as you explore the pelvis? So, as you're sitting, as you're perhaps lying down, you will feel that your buttocks are taking some of the weight of your body. And that comes in as the perception of pressure. So exploring to the rest of the pelvis. Now the lower back. Now the upper back. What do you feel? Are the muscles tight? Are they relaxed? How about the belly? And if we notice tightness in the body, awareness of that tightness may cause relaxation, but understand and remember that this is not the goal of meditation. Relaxation may or may not be there. We aren't meditating to change anything. We are meditating to become aware of what's happening right now. As you pay attention to the belly, can you feel it moving as you breathe? How about the chest? Can you feel the heart beating? Can you feel the chest rising and falling with each breath? Can you bring attention now to your fingers? To your hands and wrists? To your forearms? The elbows? The upper arms? The armpits? Shoulders? The neck, feeling the spine coming up into the base of the skull. The throat, arteries and veins, bringing life-giving blood to the head. Air moving through the windpipe. The chin, the jaw, the mouth, the teeth, the tongue, the nose, the nostrils, the cheeks and the ears, the eyes, the eyebrows, the forehead. And just a reminder, right now you don't need to be having a facial expression. You're not communicating outwards with your face, that it's possible to just let your face relax. And maybe it won't. Maybe there's residual stress that's just causing your face to stay tight. Just accepting as best you can the way things already are. So we move attention to the crown of the head, the scalp, and the back of the head. So feel free to allow your attention to expand to the entire body, from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. Just noticing everything. What's the most prominent sensation you're experiencing right now? maybe an itch, maybe tingling. Maybe it's that gentle movement of the body with the breath. Maybe it's tension. Other strong sensations. So I'm going to open up the last 6 minutes of our time together for you to explore this present moment awareness. For you to really meditate. Take this time to be aware of everything that's going on in the present, including as thoughts come. You can feature those thoughts center stage. Hey, welcome thought. What is the nature of this thought? How does it affect my body? How does it affect my mind? How does it affect my emotions? So not daydreaming, paying attention to the body as best you can, and then as thoughts come, just being aware of that thought before, as best you can, releasing it, letting it go, refocusing attention back to the body. Maybe thoughts come up and maybe they don't. Congratulations for having made it through today's practice. I'll close with 3 rings of the bell. Okay, feel free to start to move. Open your eyes if they were closed. You can shift out of your meditation posture. And something that I notice when I meditate is if my posture becomes uncomfortable, that discomfort can actually become an object of meditation. I can start to pay attention to what discomfort feels like. So, thanks everybody for being here. How did your practice go today? Feel free to share what came up, what you experienced. Were you staying focused? Was the silence harder? Or maybe the guided part was harder? Or maybe it was all really easy. So what did you experience today? And I'm going to go ahead and look at the chat, especially what was happening before the meditation today. Oh, yeah, and Frank's here. He's waiting to escape. He's like waiting for me to finish and open the door. Oh, good. Look at the camera. Look at that. Okay. It's nasty, Frank. Patricia says, I found I jerked when you spoke, and I always try to make that transition as easy as possible, to not scare anybody when I first speak again after silence. So maybe I can work a bit harder at making that not so scary next time. Oh, Jean says PBS... Where is it? PBS NewsHour had a piece on our attention and the war for it, and how we're hijacked. And yeah, I think the word hijack was kind of used first in this way by Daniel Goleman. And so you can, if you're interested in the research and a lot of the research around emotional intelligence and mindfulness's role in emotional intelligence. There is a book called Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman that he's written. It's quite a few years now, but it's interesting. And I think one of the things that helps to make it interesting and applicable to mindfulness is how what a key role that self-awareness plays in emotional intelligence. So it's really there's a multi-step process to being able to regulate emotions, and awareness is one of the key pieces of that, being able to have some control. And our attention gets hijacked so easily. And as our attention gets hijacked, we lose that self-awareness. So anyway, I won't go too much into it. You can, here, I'll just write his name in the chat. Yeah, the amygdala hijack. That's literally what Daniel Goleman calls it. Natalie said, I think the thing with mindfulness is noticing the thoughts. Noticing we have thoughts that are not helpful, but then how do we make decisions if it's not emotionally reasoning? And so and I agree, thinking is definitely part of the practice. But one of the things about only focusing on thoughts is that you might find yourself getting lost in thoughts. So this kind of being aware of thoughts is one of the more advanced practices. So the really one of the important things to cultivate, to use the Pali word for mindfulness, is cultivate bodily awareness so that we have an anchor to anchor back into when we find ourselves getting lost. And sometimes when we try to look for thoughts, we find that there's nothing there, and then we have nothing to meditate on. So I do tend to use the body as the foundation of my mindfulness practice and encourage others to do that as well. So you start with the body, and there's reasons for this too, and the idea of monkey mind, and that the mind is constantly wanting to do things, right? I mean, this is why we get hijacked, is because attention is fleeting, and attention loves to go to the most stimulating thing, and sometimes the most stimulating thing is our thoughts. I mean, I a person who goes on meditation retreat every year, can tell you that that's the first few days of meditation retreat are my mind is so used to being stimulated that it comes up with all kinds of thoughts to stimulate me, so that I won't stay focused in the present. And says, hey, I'm bored. I'm going to stimulate you by thinking all of these crazy thoughts and ideas. So thanks, Natalie, for sharing. And again, just to summarize, thoughts are an important thing to be aware of when we're practicing, but it's for the lay person like you and me very difficult to use thoughts as the primary object of meditation. So Cece asked, and I think I defined it pretty much right after, is what does the word meditation mean? Meditation is setting aside, what's the definition of meditation? It's a series of practices, and I used to have this one memorized perfectly. It's a series of practices intended to focus the mind. So this really is what meditation is doing something actively to focus the mind. And you know what, I want the real definition here. Engage in a mental practice aimed at focusing the mind, cultivating awareness, or achieving a state of relaxation. So meditation is a dedicated time for reflection or focus on an object, thought, breath, bodily sensation to train awareness. And then I've given a couple definitions of meditation in other languages to kind of help broaden that understanding of what meditation is. Jean says, mindfulness is part of psychiatric therapy now. We encountered to meditate in order to help notice what is going on in our brain and our body. And Natalie says, I think it's one of the core bits of mental health work. We're so wired to be in the past or the future and not in the present. Thanks, Natalie. All okay. I was just lost somewhere. Thanks, Patricia, for responding. Caesar says, distractions and silence was kind of falling asleep today. Jean says, I notice that I'm quite fatigued today. I had disruptive dreams, the last two. Actually, one what I might call a nightmare. One had a psychotic episode in it. Wow. And woke in a dysregulated state and had to take steps to re-regulate myself upon waking. Thanks, Jean, for sharing. I hope your mindfulness practice has equipped you for that re-regulation process. And you probably have the tools now, too. Not just mindfulness, right? Mindfulness is kind of that ground layer, right? The foundation, or the foundation of a strong house, the foundation of your mental health. And as you become more mindful, then this is why we go to therapy and get psychiatric help or read self-help books, is to come up with strategies. So it's impossible to change the state that you're in when you don't know what state you're in. Welcome everybody here today. It's great to have you. I am here on Tuesday and Thursday mornings in Singapore. I'll be back in about 47 hours to talk more about what our next topic is, which is how to meditate. So we've talked about what is mindfulness, what is meditation. Next time we'll do a real back to basics, how to practice. So how do you do it? So looking forward to that. And join again. Follow me on Insight Timer if you don't already. I'm Ryan Grimes. And join us in Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle for additional meditations and sharings. So let's close practice now, as we do, with some well wishes to ourselves and well wishes to everybody else who's here. So follow along with me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all sentient life here on planet Earth and throughout the universe, may everyone everywhere be happy and peaceful. Thanks a lot for joining. See you in 47 hours. Hope to see you again then as we continue down learning back at the basics. Until then, bye-bye.